How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Gianluca and I am a final year medical student studying in Canada, currently on my orthopedic surgery rotation, which represents my final core rotation in all of medical school. We did it. This is the end. And I'm not gonna say that I never thought that I'd be making this video, because of course I was gonna be making this video one day, but the time that I've been in medical school, the last 2.5 years have absolutely flown by, and I think that it is amazing for everyone that's been watching these videos since the very beginning of medical school to actually see how it all ended up for me. Now, this isn't gonna be one of those videos where I ramble for 6.5, 7 minutes, keep everyone waiting, and then finally announce what I'm choosing at the very end. We're gonna start off with what I have chosen to apply for residency, and actually I am working on my residency application right now. But before we get into that, I just want to say that starting on Monday is Movember, my 10th year doing Movember. We have a team so far, I believe it's more than 50 students, and as you guys know, all of the money that my channel makes throughout the month of November is going to be donated in support of men's health. I'm going to be growing the mustache, I'm going to be working on every day. And if you guys do want to go ahead and help support my team, the Movember cause, and anything else, go ahead, smash the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel. Everything's going to be donated at the end of the month. Now, all throughout medical school and the entire time that I've been making these videos, I've had many people guess what specialty I was going to end up in. And I've heard everything from orthopedic surgery, and actually there's a lot of people saying that I was probably going to go into orthopedic surgery. Supposedly I look like someone that would do well in orthopedic surgery, but I've heard it all. Internal medicine, emergency medicine. Without further ado, I could say for 100% certainty that coming up in January, the deadline is January 31st for applications, I will only be applying to one type of specialty for my applications, and that specialty is family medicine. Now, I'm actually really excited about this decision, and it's a decision that I made a few months ago right now, but at this point in time, it feels great to finally get it out and tell you guys, because there is something stressful about knowing that you're gonna do something, but then saying it out loud, putting it out there into the universe, and knowing now that you are going to be committed, stuck to this one specialty, this one profession for your entire career, your 40, 50-year career in medicine. And just as a side note, I think one of the reasons why it was so stressful for me to come out and say is because the best part about medical school by far is that you have limitless potential. While you're here for that time, especially in pre-clerkship and the first little bit of clerkship, every door is open to you. You could be anything, and you are anything. You spend some time in surgery, and while you're there, you fit into the surgery culture. Then you go to internal medicine, and you fit in there. That has been my favorite part about medical school for sure. Getting to explore a little bit of all of the different fields of medicine. And I know that definitely at times it was rough, but if I could go back and do it all again, there are little pieces of things to love about all of the specialties that I've been through so far. So now we could go ahead and talk about how I actually made the decision. And in a future video, I'll do a more pragmatic approach. Right now, we're just kind of speaking off of the cuff, but I think for me, it really boiled down to the fact that I have never been the type of person that is caught up in, needing to do the most prestigious specialty, or chasing the specialty that makes the most money, or chasing the specialty that is going to give you the most recognition. For me, it was about finding something that I actually enjoyed and could see myself doing for a long period of time. That's always really been the goal for me. Now, a few standout stories. Ever since I started medical school, I tried to explore as many of the different specialties as possible. Oddly enough, when I first showed up here, I really wanted to try oncology. I had volunteered previously at Princess Margaret Hospital at downtown Toronto, and it was an amazing experience for the time that I was there. Here in medical school, I was able to do an oncology elective. It was like a one-day experience with one of my preceptors, and in that one day that I was there, it was work that right away I knew was not going to be for me. And that's why for a lot of students, when they ask me what specialty they should get into, I think that to a certain extent, you really need to explore it for yourself and then figure out if it's for you or if it's not for you. In that one day that I was on the oncology rotation, the elective that I was doing for that day, we had to break some terrible news to 3 different patients that day, back to back to back in succession. And it was one of the most depressing days of my entire life, and for the life of me could not imagine myself doing that day in and day out, and speaking to some of the doctors in that profession, it seems like it really does play a toll on you. Again, it is important work, but this was all about me trying to find my way. And that was the very first elective that I had ever done in medical school. About 2 weeks later, I showed up to surgery, and it was general surgery for my first surgical elective. And I spent the day with one of the general surgeons there, and I had a great time. I was in the OR, and we were doing all kinds of amazing cases that, for me, being a fresh medical student, I thought was incredible just to be even in the OR doing this stuff. And definitely it was amazing. At the end of the shift though, we went to Tim Hortons, and the attending actually bought me a coffee, which was really, really nice. And he asked me at the end of the day, he said, well, what'd you think of today? And then I'm like, I thought this was really good. I thought I did well. And I thought that I learned a lot. And I think this is really interesting stuff. Might be something that I want to look into. I'll never forget, but the general surgeon at the time looked me dead in the eyes, we're drinking the coffee, and said, well, as someone that's here now, I would just advise that if you could do anything else except for surgery, do that instead. I took a sip of my coffee and thought, okay. And then as more time went by in medical school, you start to learn the differences between the specialists and the generalists, and this kind of division between the different mindsets. And I, for one, found myself to be more of a generalist. I am much more inclined, much more appreciative of knowledge that involves learning a little bit or a relative small amount of information about a very large area. I love knowing a little bit about cardiology, a little bit about respirology, and not just taking one area and diving into it and only knowing about that one area. And this is just a joke to all my specialist friends out there that are watching this video at some point, but there's an old family medicine joke, an old generalist medicine joke that goes, the difference between a generalist and a specialist, the specialist will learn more and more about less and less until eventually they know absolutely everything about nothing at all. I'm just joking. And it was at this point right here, once I decided that I love the generalist specialties, there were only two choices left, and that was family medicine and emergency medicine. And I loved emergency medicine. I still do love emergency medicine so much. Every time I go in for an elective, every time I have a shift in the emergency department, I love the work that we're doing in there, and I love that you're able to do minor procedures and see a lot of patients. There's two things that I didn't like about emergency medicine ultimately that steered me more towards family medicine, and that's that for me personally, on the one hand, I really am a fan of preventative medicine. How could I make my patients and people in general healthier so that they don't end up in a situation where they show up to the emergency department at 2 a.m. and now we have to fix them at that point? How could we stop them from having these adverse outcomes, which is a great part about family medicine? And then the other thing is the longitudinal care, being able to see a patient throughout multiple stages of their life, from birth all the way to death in some cases, I found was just an amazing part of family medicine. And for those of you that have been keeping up or are just in the know, there are two ways that you end up being an emergency doctor here in Canada. On the one hand, you could apply straight out of medical school and do the 5-year specialist emerge option, and on the other hand, you could start off in a family medicine residency, do your 2 years there, and then apply for the +1 afterwards, and then work as an emergency physician. So maybe there are still decisions for me to make a little bit further in the future. But for now, guys, I thought it was super important for me to make this video. One, so we could see the resolution and me starting this entirely different chapter of my life with residency applications, with finishing up medical school, and with getting into residency and trying to make videos and document my time in residency as well. That was the first reason, but the second is because early on in medical school and throughout it, I saw firsthand that sometimes it seems like there could be this anti-family medicine bias, both on social media and among your colleagues there in medical school. And I get it, because you get these high-achieving people and you stick them together in a room where, you know, it's survival of the fittest in a sense, and everyone trying to one-up the other people there. And there's this pressure to say, you know, I'm gonna be a neurosurgeon, I'm gonna be the best neurosurgeon that there is, and everyone's chasing these most prestigious titles in medicine. And I was never into it. It was just not something that I could really sign up for or advise other people to take part of. And family medicine, you know, I don't think I had a good idea of just how diverse your practice could be and the scope of things that you are able to do and the different options for additional training and rural medicine and people that want to do +1 and things like anesthesiology, for example, or emergency medicine or OB. It is such a varied and amazing profession. And I think moving forward, trying to show just how awesome family medicine is something that I want to do. I know for sure that here in the Niagara region, I meet many people that tell me that it's almost impossible for them to find a family doctor. Now, I'm not saying that that's exactly the case, but there is a relative scarcity of family doctors in some places. And I think that me being able to serve some of these areas where maybe there aren't as many family doctors as there needs to be is something that I'm really looking forward to, if I'm being totally honest. Now, we're gonna wrap this up because I don't want this video going for too long, but I do want to say that that's not my only career plans. There are other things that I want to do. I really am passionate about medical education and things like me writing the step 1 of the USMLE and probably eventually the rest of the steps, and my presence here on YouTube and my longevity here on YouTube, because I do want to get these videos to keep going in the future, are all things that I love doing. And whether that's helping to educate future medical students or pre-meds, or working on primary literature translation for a general audience, these are all things that I'm really passionate about. And I think it's all things that I can do in addition to my primary practice. All this to say that I am really excited about it, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the vlogs, the journey so far, and I hope you're enjoying or will be enjoying the videos that are to come. We're gonna have more stuff coming out soon. There is a vlog coming out this next week talking about my final core rotation and the final exam to go along with it, talking about studying for the USMLE, talking about applying for residency, and looking into starting to study thereafter for writing the Canadian licensing exams. There's a lot, it's heating up. We will see you guys all in the next one. Hope everyone has a great week, and just take care.